concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with that pain, and unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you've got constant pain in your knees, hip, shoulder, back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Imagine this fall moving around pain-free, doing the things you love again, walking, hiking, playing with your grandkids. Call QC Kinetics. It's the best time to get started with 2 locations off of Academy and off of Orange Grove. 520-497-4955. 520-497-4955. QC Kinetics, 520-497-4955.
Get the backyard you've always wanted with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you're ready to dive in, then visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. Schedule now and get 3 months of full service free. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. First Choice Pools, the first and only choice.
Tucson Harley-Davidson is the pre-owned inventory destination with hundreds of pre-owned Harley-Davidson motorcycles to choose from. Save $2,000 or even $6,000 at Tucson Harley's pre-owned clearance sale. Now through the end of the month, Tucson is accepting 100% of all credit applications with low financing options available. Take a test ride and receive a free dealer tee. Only at Tucson Harley-Davidson or online at TucsonHarley.com. Some restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Cool Willie's Air and Plumbing. Always trust the big guy. Mention your Wildcats and receive $50 off any repair at coolwillies.com. Cool Willie's is proud to be a partner of the University of Arizona Wildcats football radio broadcast. 2 powerful teams working hard for you to get the job done right every day. Cool Willie's Air and Plumbing. Big enough to help, small enough to care. Remember to mention your Wildcats and receive $50 off any repair. coolwillies.com.
It's $1 Million Pro Football Frenzy. Play daily to win rewards and earn entries for monthly drawings. Pick enough winners all season and you can win up to $1 million. Visit our website to get in the game. It's $1 Million Pro Football Frenzy. Only at Desert Diamond West Valley, Tucson, and Sahuarita.
An enterprise of the Donna Automation.
Bet with your head not over it. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
At Standard Restaurant Supply, their vision and #1 goal is to improve the lives of their customers and clients by providing a better culinary experience. Standard Restaurant Supply, if it's in a restaurant and not food, they have it. Open to the public, no membership fees, and they offer bulk store pricing without the bulk store purchase. Open Monday through Saturday at 601 South Cherry Avenue or call 885-2345. Standard Restaurant Supply is a proud sponsor of the U of A Radio Sports broadcast.
Remember to tune in to Wildcats Radio 1290 for the biggest pregame show in the Pac-12. Because that's how we roll. We go on the air 4 hours before every football and men's basketball game all season long. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We have the Arizona Wildcats covered on game day like no one else. With the biggest pre- and post-game coverage in the Pac-12. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly.
Chubb splits out to the top of the screen. Quick throw and picked off. The deflection and intercepted by Highsmith. Touchdown. What a start for the Steelers.
Started nicely for the Steelers. Not so well for my Browns. And then it got worse at the end.
180. Neal showing blitz. Here he comes. Pressure ball out. Picked up. What? Touchdown. Touchdown Steelers.
2 turnover sixes in one game. 2 turnover sixes in one game. Dragon Ball, is that the same jersey you were wearing yesterday?
It's the same jersey I was wearing yesterday.
Oh, my gosh, it probably stinks. It stunk to begin with. Now I'm sure it really stinks that you're wearing it 2 days in a row.
It's hilarious how that game, there's so many connections to James Harrison. TJ Watt breaks the all-time sacks record held by James Harrison, and Alex Highsmith becomes the first Steeler since James Harrison to have an interception and a forced fumble in the same game.
Crazy stuff there. I mean, that's pretty insane. TJ Watt's done that. When you said seven seasons, broke the team record for sacks.
7 seasons, 81.5 sacks, and relatively healthy outside of the 1 year where he missed about 8 games last season. But then again, a near record-breaking season with almost 22.5. I think he should have broken Strahan's all-time record, in my opinion, but they gave him just enough to tie Strahan last season, 2 seasons ago, with the sack record, and it was a great year to watch, to say the least.
What was Papa Watt feeding those boys? What did he know about breeding outstanding defensive ends that the rest of the world wants to know?
I have no idea. There's a level of greatness from the Watt family, even going to their brother Derek Watt, who was actually a pretty darn good fullback, all things considered. But he's probably the redheaded stepchild, but he's still a pretty good player. TJ and JJ, they're just another breed of animal, man. They're a whole nother breed.
That they are. We got to see that on full display here in Arizona for at least a few years. Obviously not the best years of J.J. Watt's career, but always it seems like we always get those fading Hall of Famers at the end. Emmitt Smith, J.J. Watt. I'm sure there's another 1 or 2 on that list.
John Abraham, Dwight Freeney.
We did, though, get to have future Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald for his entire career here in Arizona. From start to finish, we got to see Hall of Fame level wide receiver play for, what was that? He played like 15, 16 years?
Yeah, 15 or something years out of Larry Fitzgerald. You also got about, I want to say it was at least 8 or 7 years out of Anquan Bolden as well.
That's true.
His name has now been up on the nominees list for this upcoming Pro Football Hall of Fame list.
I should still remember him he caught a pass. It was a game against the Jets in New York, man. He caught a pass in the end zone, and the guy just leveled him.
Oh, yeah, the Jim Leonard hit. And I remember that hit.
Yeah, I just thought, I don't think he's going to get up. And he did. And I was like, wow, that's a player. Speaking of not getting up, just a horrific injury in that game last night to Browns all-pro running back Nick Chubb. That is just absolutely not what you want to see in the game of football. It's look, we love this game. We love the hard hits, but that's just not the way you want to see a player season end, and hopefully, because that's the second time he's going to have that knee totally repaired. And you got to wonder if how much he can come back from that. I know, and we'll hear from, in fact, let's just hear from Kevin Stefanski right now on that.
Very disappointed for Nick. Means a lot to this team, means a lot to this organization. So he will be missed, but he will bounce back. Of that, I have no doubt. You don't replace Nick Chubb. That's you just don't do that. Great players in the league. You look around, they go out. It's always not one person that replaces a player of his caliber.
That's true. Not one place, and Jerome Ford will get the first opportunity, but they're already talking to Kareem Hunt, who played a number of years in Cleveland, a Cleveland native, but not a player that I really don't have a high opinion of. So I'm fine if he doesn't come back. But it's going to be tough sledding for that Browns offense. Deshaun Watson did not play necessarily that well, and there's already calls that maybe Deshaun is on the downside of his career, which, I don't like him either. So if he is, if he's on the downside, fine. They got what they deserved in trading away all those picks to to try to make him their franchise quarterback. So.
I mean, it's a hard sell, obviously, after the performance he had on Monday night. It was you can view it as a brilliant effort by the Steelers defense, or it was just a very rough night for Deshaun and his decision-making. Outside of, again, the Browns' offensive line did what they could, but when you give up 6 sacks, you're not giving your quarterback a whole lot of time to really kind of adjust to what he can see down the field. And there were plays open. It's just Deshaun rarely had time in that pocket to really kind of orchestrate any kind of successful attack when Chubb got hurt.
Sometimes I wonder, Dragon Ball, how is this league so popular with the offense that we saw in both those games last night? I mean, both those games, the Saints and the Panthers, the Browns and the Steelers, it just was not high-level quarterback play, not high-level offensive play on the game's grandest stage. Twice. Monday Night Football. Twice. And you got the offensive performances that you got in those 2 games. How is this game so popular?
I think what we saw there in these 2 Monday night games, we saw 2 sides of the same coin. The first one is it is very hard to find a all-purpose quarterback in the NFL. There's very few guys that you can really look at and say, this is a guy that you start a franchise with. This is a guy you start a franchise with. And the other side of that same coin is it can take a long time to make a guy become that in a franchise quarterback. Kenny Pickett had some signs in the preseason. He had signs in the last few weeks of his rookie campaign. But this is growing pains in the NFL. Bryce Young, fantastic talent. Obviously, I think going to be one of those guys that you look at and say, this is going to be a star in the league. How many years down the line is he going to get the chance to do it? That's going to be the question. Going back to the guy that the Browns went ahead and gave up to get Deshaun and Baker Mayfield, a lot of folks thought that he was done. There was a lot of discussion about his injury with his shoulder that really messed up his career. His development was going to be off, and now it's time to just move on. And now you have him in Tampa Bay. He's 2-0 right now.
How about that?
And that to me is a shock. But that being said, that's an offensive system that is allowing a quarterback to step up because there are weapons there. Yeah. And that's the other part of this whole thing too. Outside of Amari Cooper, what weapons does Deshaun Watson have? David Njoku is not necessarily the most consistent. Donovan Peoples-Jones is not that consistent. Kenny Pickett, he's got a couple of his receivers that are hurt. Gunnar Olszewski got knocked out in that game, and he didn't have Deontay Johnson. And let's not even get into the Panthers' lack of offensive talent. I can't name you one starter outside of Adam Thielen on the offensive side of the ball in Carolina. This is a league where you need weapons to succeed as a quarterback, and there's a lot of teams that are just really scraping the bottom of that barrel to try and get their quarterback somebody to throw to.
Well,
anybody.
And it's not just in the NFL too. It's college, man. Just watching the tail end of that U of A UTEP game last night. The quarterback for UTEP, Gavin Hardison, he made some nice throws in that game. Mm-hmm. His guys just didn't catch him. Nope. I mean, there were several, first down big play opportunities in that game for the Miners. Then their receivers just put the ball on the ground. That's a guy, that's a kid. And Bob Davey brought that up at the broadcast. It's like, man, if he was playing in a system where he had some guys that could catch the ball, he'd be having a great night tonight.
Mm-hmm. And when you get to that point also, if your receivers aren't catching anything, okay, hopefully you can get a quarterback that can stay under center long enough to make a connection with these guys out there on the field. And you look at the school up north, their whole quarterback system is going to be in major question. Mm. And Drew Pine likely to return. Trenton Bourget doubtful. You're not sure when Rashad is going to come back. So Arizona Wildcats, count your blessings that you have Jane DeLaura as a consistent starter out there. And for the NFL side of things, there's a lot of guys that are still really banged up. I mean, we're talking about 2 full weeks into the season. We've got a lot of injuries that are starting to really shape out what the league's going to look like in the next couple of weeks.
520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program if you want to talk about any of that right there. Why is the NFL so popular with some of the offense that we see weekly in this league? and it's going to play into something I'm going to talk about in terms of the Arizona Wildcats and how we have been kind of framing what this offense is here in Tucson, and we'll get more into that in the show today. Different lineup for our Tuesday. Dave Hickey is traveling back east on the East Coast today, so he will not be joining us. We are going to move David back or later into the week. I believe we'll have him on Thursday. So Brian Jeffries, we're going to flip-flop. We're going to trade Dave Hickey for Brian Jeffries. Brian Jeffries will join us here in this hour. And I'm going to ask Brian again, this is the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of the end of the final season in the Pac-12. So every week I'm just going to ask Brian about memories. I want him to give me memories of some of these different places that he's been. We're starting obviously this week with Palo Alto. Memories of Palo Alto. He's been going there for, at least he's been in the booth for 36 years. So I would imagine he's probably been there 15 to 18 times. And I'm sure there's a memory or two that he can share with us about Palo Alto now that that's a place that we're no longer going to be going on a consistent basis. We're also going to let you hear from Journey Tucker today. U of A volleyball freshman, a tremendous story, overcame a brain tumor just a year and a half ago that almost took her life, actually did take the life of her sister who had the same brain tumor when she was younger. And we'll talk to Journey Tucker about her struggle and to be able to get a college scholarship to play here at the University of Arizona. That'll be in the 4 o'clock hour, and then in the 5 o'clock hour, Glenn Howe will join us for our weekly rendition of Wildcat Breakdown. We will pick apart the U of A UTEP game and get you set for the Wildcats and Stanford. J-Dub is off today, giving him a little bit of a break. So we've got Cricket in here, the third member today of our team. Cricket, I heard that you have quite the pirate story to tell.
What? What exactly does that mean? Do you mean the joke?
Is it a joke? Is that what it is? I was told to ask Cricket about her pirate joke.
You're going to be sorely disappointed.
Oh, man. Okay.
So I don't know if you want to ask.
Well, let's hear it. Because I'm always up for a good laugh.
Well, it's not a good laugh.
Okay.
Because it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. Buzz always, one of our colleagues, always makes me tell my pirate joke, which is...
Wait, let me stop you there. This is Talk Like a Pirate Day?
Yes, it is.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball?
It was an old...
Mr. Pittsburgh
It
pirate?
was an old holiday that I remember quite a bit when I was in elementary school, but admittedly, I have not been a practitioner of the holiday for quite some time.
Wow. Okay. Talk like a pirate day. Arr.
I'm terrible. Like, you sound much better than, my pirate accent.
Nowadays, you get a lot of people that'll just talk like Johnny Depp rather than talk like a pirate, like the Caribbean pirates.
It's kind of like a Keith Richards pirate or something. I don't know, or something like that.
Richards.
Give me some doubloons, matey. What are doubloons anyway?
Those were a sort of gold coin that was very popular, I think, in the Caribbean Isles.
Pieces of 8. Is that a coin too?
Pieces of 8. I'm not sure. As far as I know, that was a thing that was just collection of random stuff it's similar to what you would hear with there's a store where I can't remember the name of the stores, but it's like a menagerie the menagerie I know is a thing, but never mind. I can't think of the name of the store that I'm trying to come up with here.
All right, Cricket, tell your joke.
No. Why are pirates better than sailors?
Why are pirates better than sailors? I don't know.
Very close. I was going to say they just arg.
They just arg.
It's my talk like a pirate because I can't talk like a pirate.
Because they arg. Okay, very good. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad, Cricket. All right. She's much better at traffic every 20 minutes on the fives.
I'm from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center. It's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Some slowing on southbound Campbell at Glen, a collision and overturned vehicle on 6th Avenue on the south side of I-10, and also at La Cañada south of Orange Grove, a brush fire, and you might see fire crews on scene. 71 and the low tonight, partly cloudy. Tomorrow in the morning, 94 is the high and sunny and 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically
the woman who alleged that the two of them sexually assaulted her in 2018. The judge in the case suggested the woman not accept the amount she viewed as too low from the players as they have begun earning funds through NIL and now has scheduled a January mediation hearing on the case. Delora said that he would not speak on the case back during Pac-12 Media Days, hoping to clear his name if he could when asked about the situation. While the Steelers came away with a win on Monday night, all attention was paid to their attention and the Browns and their star running back Nick Chubb, who had left the game with a gruesome knee injury in the second quarter and was said to have a season-ending injury. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski and star defensive end Myles Garrett spoke on Chubb's injury after the game.
And we'll see Nick here shortly. We'll see him. Obviously not here right now, but what would Nick say in these situations? You know, Nick is he's a team leader. He's not one to back down from anything. He's not one to feel woe is me in any way. So he's going to make sure that this team continues to fight.
It hurts. I mean, it's our brother. That's my brother, and I've been together for a long time. And I mean, it's a blow for the whole team, and we don't want his injury to be in vain. You know, we got to push on. You know, that's what he wants us to do. And if he had any choice in the matter, that's what he would do. So we just got to continue to fight and use it as motivation.
Chubb had suffered an equally grueling injury to his knee in college back when he was playing at Georgia. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, as I mentioned, we're doing some juggling on this Tuesday. Dave Hickey is on the road, so subbing in on Tuesday versus Thursday this week is none other than the voice of the Arizona Wildcats, Brian Jeffries. Brian, the 2-1 finish to the non-conference schedule, and the Wildcats ended it with a 500-plus yard offensive performance, of which 244 of those came on the ground. It was great to see, I think, from the rushing standpoint, just kind of everybody get involved. Wiley ran for 80-plus. Jonah had a big run. DJ Williams hit 2 big runs with his carries to get first downs, back-to-back first downs, and even Speedy got a first down on the ground. Nothing wrong when you can run the ball like that in a football game.
Well, absolutely, and I think that's one thing that Jed Fish has wanted really from the beginning of the season. They wanted to run more at Mississippi State. The Bulldogs' defense, kind of forced them to change some things, and this week they wanted to get back to the run again, which they did, and I think that's very important. You get into conference play, and particularly you play on the road like the Wildcats will this week, you need to be able to run the ball successfully. Without that, you're probably not going to have a lot of luck. And Arizona's struggled against Stanford over the last, they've lost 6 straight games. And, one reason why Stanford has run the ball excessively well against Arizona in those 6 games. And so it tells you a lot about what you need to win in the Pac-12.
Brian, I thought that this was going to be a more high-scoring offense, at least maybe in the first and the third games against lesser competition. I thought maybe they could get into the 50s. They didn't as the games have evolved. How much do you think we're seeing, obviously, there's new clock rules, so I think that's limited possessions for teams through these first couple of the first 3 games. How much of that is maybe we just had a view of this offense and what it was going to be that was maybe a little bit out the door from this fact that we thought maybe it was going to be more passing dominated than what we've seen in the first 3 games?
Well, I think they're averaging 31 points, which is exactly how they ended last year. Nothing wrong with averaging 31 points. I think that now getting into conference play, that's probably going to need to go up just based on what we've seen from other teams. I'm not alarmed by it at all. I think they've been able to move the ball successfully. The turnovers hurt them at Mississippi State. This past week they had a turnover that might have led to a score. They had a field goal blocked. I mean, those are the things when you have fewer possessions that are going to cost you more. And so you have to take advantage of every time you have the football. And that's one thing I think teams have tried to do so far this season is limit Arizona in terms of the number of times they touch the ball because they know the danger of the offense. I thought, Bob Davie did the game this past week at Arizona Stadium, and he was, up in the press box, and I overheard him saying, I love this Arizona team. They've got a lot of weapons. They're fun to watch. And so I think that says a lot about their potential. I looked at they're averaging 5 fewer plays a game right now than they did a year ago, and that in Arizona terms is almost like a scoring drive. And so I think in order to up that scoring average, they need to keep that in mind. You've got to take advantage of every time you have the football and make something out of it. And that could be a field goal. It could be a touchdown, because if you don't, in one of these games, it'll cost you.
What I liked, I think one of the things I really liked about the game Saturday, Brian, was I thought they took some pressure off of Jaden by kind of getting some of those passes on the edge to Jacob Cowing and letting him run in space, because one, I thought that took the edge off Jaden. Two, it allowed Jacob to get more involved in the game because he had been held just to 3 catches each in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, his speed when he gets the open field is really one of his great assets. And so I agree with you. I think that was a great move. I know, Jacob was really intent on making that a big game. It was his former school, and I know that he had a lot of friends on the team, so he was happy to be able to have such a big part of it. And, I think Arizona's offense has a lot left in the playbook, too. They played 3 games. They wanted to win all 3. They won 2 of them. Now you get into a conference season where you got 9 games to prove yourself, and I think you'll probably see some more added to the offense come this week and in weeks ahead. And a lot of it will have to do with the teams you play. So, they've got it was great to also see the Montana Lamonius Craig, be a big part of that game on Saturday. We know what Tedero McMillan can do. And so, again, having, like last year, having 3 weapons on the outside like that, and then you throw in an outstanding tight end in Tanner McLaughlin, who's had 8 catches in the last 2 games. And I can see the offense continue to pick up steam in the weeks ahead.
All right, so you mentioned Tedero McMillan, so I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm going to ask it in a certain way, because I'm not going to ask you, have you seen a better catch than that, because I think maybe people would say, well, Jerron Kreiner caught a ball once that won a game at the buzzer. That might be a better catch, but have you seen a more athletic catch in your 36 years calling Arizona football?
Oh, certainly not. And if you just look at the last 2 years and go back and look at his one-handed catches last year, this was even better than that. I think not only because he caught it one-handed, but you see his eye contact with the ball, and also his vertical off the field. When I saw the video, from the field level video from behind him, and see how high he was off the field, that's what impressed me as much. We've seen him make one-handed catches, so I'm not going to say it was just another one. It was spectacular. But I think his athletic ability, what he's been able to do physically between his freshman and sophomore seasons, really showed up in that particular play, and we're going to see more of them down the road.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, joining us here, Arizona and Stanford this Saturday up in Palo Alto. Brian, defensively in this last ball game, one of the things that stood out to me was just the downhill ability of your 2 safeties in Gunnar Maldonado coming down into the box to make plays, and Dalton Johnson, who's a name, obviously, that's really just starting to come onto the scene. I mean, a couple times he just came from way back in the defense to cause havoc in the offensive backfield. He, I think, is going to be a player to continue to watch as this season goes on.
Well, I go by it, but I after the game, I try and remember, okay, whose name did we mention the most? And it may not necessarily be the leading tackler. I mean, Jacob Anu had a great game, and you talk about him every week, and he's going to have a great game. Justin Flo, back-to-back outstanding games now. But we probably mentioned Dalton Johnson more than anybody. Mm-hmm. And, because he got involved in so many of the plays. And sometimes you don't have to make the tackle. It's just being involved. He has 16 tackles this year. But the fact that he was involved in so many plays, I think that's what stood out to me. And so, and that was an area, let's go back to, the 1st of August. And one of to me, the biggest question mark on the football team was, were they going to be able to get the secondary together early in the season, because they lost some valuable guys out of there. They have some people returning. I mean, Dalton played last year on special teams, but we didn't see him really on the field during, what we could call regular football plays. And so just seeing his growth is great. They built some depth there. I remember that Chuck Cecil said before everything got started, he said, look, I think I've got 6 safeties that we could use. And Dalton's certainly one of those. And so This week's going to be interesting because Stanford's really struggled to throw the ball, and so how they play some of those guys in the secondary, I think, is going to be one of the big parts of trying to beat the Cardinal.
All right, Brian, Pac-12, the final chapter. You're going some places this year for the final time. What are going to be your memories, your lasting memories of Stanford and Palo Alto?
Well, Stanford, unfortunately here in recent years, it's become a place where the Wildcats haven't had success there. That's number one. They haven't won a game at Stanford Stadium since 2006. So, and I think they've had some better teams, and for one reason or another, I know the last time, 2019, they really played well, over 400 yards of offense, but turned the ball over a couple of times, including late in the game that led to a deciding field goal for Stanford, really the icing field goal for Stanford. So that, unfortunately, I'll remember they just haven't had much success of late. And also, I'll just remember the lack of atmosphere there. And we'll see what happens this Saturday, but the fans have kind of drifted away from that program, and for one reason or another, and maybe it's just wins and losses. They've had some tough years of late, and you just hate to see that. You hate to see a team that loses its fan support. So, what's the atmosphere going to be like on Saturday? There won't be any cowbells there, so I can tell you it's not going to be nearly as loud as Starkville. I always, this is probably on the selfish, silly side of things, and Lamont and I talk about this all the time, but we've found our favorite food haunts everywhere we go. And so that's going to be a place that, we're not going to see again. And, we'll miss that. But it's usually, a good trip because it's an easy trip and it's a nice setup for us in terms of the broadcast. And I just hope that some fans turn out this week and then we have an atmosphere worthy of Pac-12 football.
So you're saying that the Stanford band cannot carry the day by itself?
No, they're not going to add a whole lot to. I mean, they do their best. Let's put it that way, and sometimes they do their worst, depending on their mood, week in and week out. And maybe that's it. Maybe that is the highlight of the game. I hope it's a highlight. The Wildcats win the game, but the band might be part of it. I don't know. It's. I think there's going to be a lot of nostalgia every week, David. I mean, this could very well be the last time Arizona plays there. I wouldn't be surprised if the teams at least talk about some non-conference games down the road somewhere, because that's certainly viable. Last trip to the Coliseum, last trip to Pullman, potentially, again, no matter, what happens down the road. So, and then looking back on the places now that, last year was the last trip to Husky Stadium, and you go on from there. You don't know what the future has to hold. We're going to see Salt Lake, we're going to see Boulder, we're going to see Tempe in years to come, but those other places that we've been going year in and year out, chances are we may not see them again, at least in, my lifetime. And I think that's sad. And certainly, like I said, a lot of nostalgia when you get to them. And I think when we leave Saturday out of Stanford Stadium to think, okay, is this the last time the Wildcats will play there? We'll find out.
Brian, before I let you go, Nick Folk kicked the game-winning field goal on Sunday. Do you have a Nick Folk U of A memory?
Oh, gosh. I mean, he had so many big kicks. I'm not good at pinpointing one or the other. So I'll just say that, he was one of the best. And I'm really happy to see him continue his NFL career. And, I think Arizona's got Lucas Havrisik on an NFL roster. And I have a feeling that Mr. Loop's going to be on an NFL roster here down the road. And I'll just add another thing. Stanford's got a great kicker, and that's going to be another thing to keep an eye on Saturday. They've got a weapon there that you have to deal with. Both their place kicker and their punter are outstanding. And David, I did want to mention, since I am filling in for Dave Hickey, I thought that I should pass along some news that he is trying to get the border conference back together again, just in case, down the road. No, I'm kidding. No, please don't put that on social media. But, maybe who knows? Maybe that will be the next step 10 years down the road. I don't know.
Well, I heard he was in Washington, D.C. I was wondering if he had a form with Congress or something like that. I know. I saw Congressman Siscamani was at the game on Saturday night, so perhaps he got an invite back this week to tour the Capitol.
A lot of talk lately about, is Congress, are they going to step in and try and limit college football because things are getting a little out of hand in terms of, the money, et cetera. The conference realignment, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't hope it doesn't become a legal affair. So I'm sure he's back there for other reasons. And, possibly just talking about, next year. I know, we were discussing it yesterday here in a meeting about all the work that has to be done. You thought that announcement about going to the Big 12, okay, it's all taken care of. Well, it's not taken care of. I mean, there is a ton of work to be done between now and next September.
All right, Brian, have fun in Palo Alto one more time on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Dave.
He is
Appreciate
Brian
it.
Jeffries, the voice of your Arizona Wildcats. We will get you home, or I won't get you home, but Cricket will get you home every 20 minutes with your traffic and weather on the 5s.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by the Jim Click Automotive Team. Reported collisions Orange Grove and Skyline Drive in Orange Grove, that's a hit-and-run wreck. 6th Avenue south of I-10, overturned vehicle, 6th Avenue south of I-10. And expect some travel restrictions and slowdowns, 6th Avenue south of I-10. Overnight tonight, 71 the low, partly cloudy. Tomorrow in the morning, 94 is the high tomorrow, and sunny and 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Big O Tires. The big deal event is here. From now until October 1st, get $50 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Next International tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation charges extra required on all 4 tires. Not valid with other offers. Eligibility may vary. See store for details.
We're looking for Tucson's ugliest cars. Even if it's not working, bring it to Jim Click and Holmes Tuttle and get a minimum $3,000 towards one of our 1,000 vehicles. For details, visit jimclick.com or call 520-690-5012.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month. A savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
It's a breaking news report as we go live with Hal and Ruthie.
Thanks, Bob. Goodfellas is buying back AC units.
Yes, and that means everyone saves big on a new AC.
There you have it. Goodfellas doing good things.
It's the Monsoon Buyback Special with savings our 1,000 plus 5-star reviewers expect. Right now, Goodfellas AC will buy back your current unit for up to $3,000 towards a new AC. Conditions apply. Go to GoodfellasAC.com to find out how. Good service, good prices, Goodfellas.
You want to protect her. You'll give anything to make sure nothing harms her. Every minute together makes unforgettable memories. Except that time you parked her under that tree and...
Oh, come on, man. Really?
Sorry, we'll never speak of it again. But remember who came to her rescue? Recon Auto Detailing. Arizona's premier auto detailing company comes directly to you. We'll make your masterpiece shine like it should, and with a monthly maintenance package, we'll keep it that way. Recon Auto Detailing. Online at recondetail.com.
Attention bargain shoppers. Tons of sweet deals are still available. Everything from kids' experiences and motorsports activities to restaurants and vacation opportunities. We've got it all at a discount price. Go to wildcatsradio1290.com to see what sweet deals we currently have on sale and to find out what sweet deals we have coming up. But hurry, they'll go fast. That's wildcatsradio1290.com to see our current and upcoming sweet deals. Check them out before they're gone.
Do you often...
Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
Getting ready to get into the Pac-12 part of their schedule, the Arizona Wildcats preparing for the Stanford Cardinal with their new look defense that has gotten them a lot of attention. It's the ability to adjust with the new faces and the rotations that has defensive coordinator Johnny Nansen excited for what the future holds.
Just understanding the defense, understanding and really trusting the way we prepare them. It's really been showing. The communication's been outstanding. If you watch it from, you watch the game, you see how well we communicate up front in the back end, and I think that's the biggest difference that you see in this year's defense compared to last year.
Again, at the moment, Arizona is opening up as a 2-score favorite over the Cardinal. The NFL has filed a grievance against the Players Association after alleging that the leaders of the union, including President J.C. Tretter, have been advising running backs to, quote, consider feigning or exaggerating injuries to increase their leverage in contract talks. Again, the grievance was filed last week during opening day, and the league has argued that players who took the advice would be violating the league's collective bargaining agreement. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Cox to snap. Ryan Stonehouse to hold. And the kick. Good! Yes! Yes! The redemption of Ryan Tannehill on a Sunday that started sunny, ended with rain, and saw the Titans beat an arch nemesis from over 60 years ago by hanging in offensively, defensively, and finding a way.
That was Mike Keith on the Tennessee Titans radio network. First of all, I love Mike Keith. I lived in Tennessee for 3 years. Used to listen to him all the time. Call Tennessee Titans games, which were being broadcast in Memphis. But an arch nemesis from 60 years ago, really, that is a harken back to the Houston Oilers day, which the people in Nashville know nothing about. Again, can we just leave that history in Houston and not bring that to Tennessee and talk like, oh my gosh, we beat the Chargers and the legendary rivalry of it's not even the Titans and the Chargers. You've been playing them for what, 15 or 20 years? How many times have you played them in 15 or 20 years?
Admittedly, this is a very, very bizarre call by the Titans broadcast team. And look, the only reason why we can't do that, DK, is because Bud Adams wanted to take the ball and run, and he did, and he brought everything with him to Tennessee, including the kitchen sink. The only thing that they were short on was the Mayflower truck. That's the only thing they were missing when they moved the Oilers out to Tennessee.
So these two teams, they first played as obviously the Tennessee, they initially were called the Tennessee Oilers. Mm-hmm. But the first time they played as Tennessee and San Diego was 1998. This was the second time, or actually the third, it is the fourth time because they've played 4 times since 2018. This is the fourth time they've played as Tennessee and Los Angeles. It's not even San Diego anymore.
Mm-hmm. No, the old school rivalries, you're going to try and keep them alive for as long as you can, but it's just not something that, again, the Titans' history starts in the 90s.
Right.
You got to just start from the 90s on. You can't bring it over from the Oilers.
No, just like the Ravens.
It's sad that the Oilers' memory is more alive with the University of Houston football program than it is in the city of Houston in their professional football team. Because have you seen the Houston the Houston football team's Houston Oilers?
No, they've got Houston Oilers uniform.
It is so gorgeous.
Really?
It is a beautiful jersey combination for the University of Houston football team. I honestly believe. I know that their thing is red. That's their whole thing for their uniform and their identity. Their football team needs to just move to that as their permanent uniform. It is such a pretty uniform.
Yeah, that is nice.
It is so nice.
That is nice. I'll pull that up and put that on our internet connection here so the people can see that here momentarily. So I want to get back to the Nick Folk, because they even talk about Nick Folk making that kick, because they just talked about Ryan Tannehill, the redemption of Ryan Tannehill. Nick Folk, Arizona Wildcats legend, class of 2006. Great stat by Anthony Gimino, who's going to be on the program tomorrow. Love Anthony Gimino. He's my guy going way back. And he's starting to get back into some sports coverage now. He's covering things for PHNX Wildcats. And so we will have Anthony on the show tomorrow. That was the 13th game-winning field goal for Nick Folk in his 16-year career, which started, obviously, with the 2007 season. He had his first game-winning kick that season for the Cowboys to beat the Bills. He had 7 game-winning kicks for the Jets, 1 for the Buccaneers, 3 for the Patriots, and now 1 in his initial season with the Titans. Nick Folk, the longest standing Arizona Wildcat right now in professional football.
And I know people are going to be like, well, yeah, of course he's the longest standing. He's the kicker. Kickers can play 17. Look, kickers can play football for 17 years. To stay employed 17 years to get all those game-winning kicks, that's another argument entirely.
And there was a time when, he had a horrible time in Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought his career was over.
To be fair, everyone has a bad time in Tampa Bay. What was it? Him, Roberto Aguayo, and there's a lot of guys that went to Tampa Bay for a while and just seemed cursed to never kick well again. It seems like it changes every so often in the state of Florida, because there was a point where the Jaguars couldn't find themselves a new kicker after the Josh Scobie era finally came to an end. And then Tampa Bay seemed like they went through like almost 5 or 6 kickers in the course of 2 years to try and find somebody to do place kicking.
We were talking about he had that streak. So it was 63 straight kicks that he made 50 yards or under. And it ended last year, actually ended in a game against the Browns late last season when he missed one from, I believe, 46 yards. So 63 straight kicks, 50 yards and under he made. Late in his career. And we're not talking about early in his career, in his prime. This is late. This is in years 13, 14, and 15.
The good kickers age like fine wine, though, DK. They always age like fine wine. The older they get, the more accurate they become. Morton Anderson was kicking almost 20-something years into his career. He was still nailing kicks in Atlanta. The other interesting statistic to come out of that win, the Titans are 23-game winners when they are the underdog going into 2018. Mike Vrabel knows how to win when he's the underdog, it seems like. But considering they've had to win 23 games as the underdog shows that they've never really had a dominant team in Tennessee since 2018.
I would assume Nick Folk is not. I don't know that he's a Hall of Fame candidate. I'd have to look at the numbers and how he ranks with the kickers that are in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't think he'd be in that conversation.
That's such a small group, too. Yeah. You're talking about a small. The first one to ever get in was Jan Stutterud.
Right.
He was the first one. I still think, even to this day, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Mosley is still not in the Hall of Fame, even though he won an MVP at one point. So I think the last kicker I can think of that got inducted was Gary Anderson, and they're still waiting for Morton Anderson. I think he's still the all-time NFL points champion. They're still waiting to put him in the Hall, if I'm not mistaken.
See, that's a shame. Those guys are just, again, They how many games are won at the end by kickers? You would think that there would be more love for them. More of those guys would get in based on their career, their longevity, and what, the things that they did. I would imagine Adam Vinatieri is a guy that eventually should be on that list. As many playoff winning field goals that he kicked in his career, I would have to think that he's a guy. Obviously Justin Tucker is as good as we've seen in this era. He's probably a Hall of Fame kicker right now. I think I'll have to. It'll be interesting. Deeper look into Nick Folk's numbers.
Looking at the overall Hall of Fame numbers right now by position, you have 4 kickers. And Morton Anderson is in there.
Okay.
Gary Anderson is not. George Blanda, Lou Groza, and Jan Stutterud. Those are your 4 kickers in the Hall of Fame.
Wait, that's 3.
Well, no, Morton Anderson.
Okay.
So those are your 4 kickers in the Hall.
Lou Groza and George Blanda. I mean, and those were big dudes.
And those were the straight,
those weren't traditional kickers.
Those are your straight-on kickers, too.
Yeah, exactly. They were not traditional kickers.
No.
Wow. Yeah, we need more kickers in the Hall of Fame. There's no question.
Them and punters, man. We don't get any punters in the Hall besides, I think Ray Guy finally got in.
Yeah, Ray Guy might be the. I mean, you got all these positions. All these positions should warrant as the same opportunity that quarterbacks, running backs, and linemen do. I've never understood that aspect of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I think the only kicker I can think on top of my head that will be a guaranteed Hall of Famer when his name does come up is Vinatieri. When his name comes up, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame. He might be the first ballot Hall of Fame kicker to ever get in. Because I don't think even...
When is he... He's been retired how long?
I want to say that he's probably been out of the league for about 4 years now, so he's coming up.
He's coming up, yeah.
At the very least, he's coming up. I know they just released the full list of the modern era Hall of Fame nominees.
Wow, 24 seasons he kicked.
Yep. Now he was kicking up until about 3 years ago, I think is what it was, because he kicked in 2019, so he had about 4 years.
22, 23, 24. So yeah, he would be up. He would be eligible next year. Yep. All right, good stuff there. So if you want to get in on the kicker conversation, you can do that too. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. We never got to our question of the day for today, and it's really what I asked Brian Jeffries, and that is, what are your memories of Stanford? What are you going to remember about Arizona versus Stanford? Is there a game that sticks out? Is there a visit? Did you go to Palo Alto to see the Wildcats play there? The Baycats put up something on their Twitter site. We got to get those folks on the phone. I'm going to try to get them for later in the weeks because I want to know how they feel. The Baycats, this is the last time that their team is coming to play in the Bay Area. Well, how do all the we've been talking about it for 2 months. I want to hear from those alums. So we got to get them on and find out. I want to find out how they feel about the fact that there's not going to be any more Arizona football coming to the Bay Area.
Now it's going to be everything going to the Texas and the old Lone Star State.
You're going to have to move to Dallas.
Oh, best of luck there.
If you want to see your Wildcats.
If you're having trouble staying out in the Bay Area, good luck staying out in Dallas, man. I'm sure that rent's not any better.
All right. Journey Tucker from Arizona Volleyball. Great story. You will hear from her in the next hour. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collision 6th Avenue at I-10 on 6th Avenue south of I-10. That's an overturned vehicle, some slowing there. New collision reported on Oracle to the north of Ina with northbound. Some northbound slowdowns on Oracle approaching and passing Ina. Grant and Swan, Oracle south of Grant. Orange Grove and Skyline, a hit and run wreck, and also to the east side, Harrison south of Broadway. The low 71. Tomorrow morning, partly cloudy, 94 the high. Tomorrow, sunny and 98 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell's new $2.
Sports.
Well, the Arizona softball team continues to get more talent, and this time it's coming from the state of Texas as they get another recruit from the Lone Star State. Top 5 player out of the Houston area, utility player Addison Shepard has now officially committed to the Wildcats. 2025 class is starting to shape up for Caitlin Lowe's squad as now both Shepard and right-handed pitcher Riley Holder are in that class after her recent commitment on Sunday night. The final season for Adam Wainwright is coming to an end as the stalwart in the Cardinals rotation continues to add to his legacy, finally eclipsing the win mark that had been eluding him for almost 3 months.
He got him. Fly ball center. Waino is throw 7. Popped him up. Edmund is out. Adam Wainwright, welcome to the 200-win club.
Wainwright has officially become the latest member of the 200 Wins Club as he stymied the Brewers in a classic one-run victory over the Milwaukee team where he put in 7 shutout innings of work coming from the 42-year-old's arm. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly.
So happy for my guy, Adam Wainwright. The last remaining one of my Memphis Redbirds who is still competing in the big leagues. Called games for the Memphis Redbirds in AAA, the Pacific Coast League, back in 2005, 2006, and 2007. And we had Adam Wainwright on our club in that 2005 season, and was just a tremendous young man. Made 29 starts for us that season, was 10-10, got his first big league call up that year, and then went up to the big leagues and initially was the closer for the St. Louis Cardinals. In 2006, when they went to the World Series and won the World Series, Adam Wainwright closing out that World Series win in 2006. And then I remember the next spring, they were like, well, we're going to make Adam Wainwright a starter. And I'm like, what? No. Because he was such a great closer at the end of that season. And I'm thinking to myself, why do they want to make him a starter when he's already a star as a closer? He's won a world title as a closer.
If only they had listened to you.
Exactly. Well, who knows? Maybe if they had, he'd have been a Hall of Fame closer.
I think this man is already on the precipice of being a Hall of Fame starting pitcher, to be completely honest. Here's the thing, DK, you had him for a few years where you covered him in the minor league system.
Yeah.
I got to watch him destroy my Pirates for the better part of almost 2 decades. The man going back to 2006 when he really got his chops started to get cut in the bigs.
Yeah.
He has been a Pirate killer. The thing is that I find it so glorious that of all the teams to get win number 200 over, at least it wasn't us. It was the Brewers. So thank goodness for that small miracle.
He had the funny thing about that season, he had 3 saves during the regular season. Mm-hmm. He had 4 saves in the postseason that year in helping the Cardinals beat the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. His numbers in the postseason that year: 8 innings pitched, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts.
I just remember 3 years ago in 2021 when he got 17 wins. as a 39-year-old pitcher. And I just thought to myself, he's never going to retire. He's never going away. I thought for sure after his 5-win year in 2020, I'm like, okay, Waino's finally getting old. The Cardinals will probably let him walk, and then that'll be the end of it. Comes back, wins 17 games. I'm like, he's never going away. He's just going to stick around and be a thorn in the side forever. To think that him and Yachty are no longer together is the most bizarre thing. And now that Waino's finally putting the cap on the door, never to come back. As a rival, I'm glad to see you go. As a fan of baseball, it's going to be weird to think of the Cardinals without Waino out there on the mound.
200 wins, is that the new benchmark, you think? I mean, I don't know that we'll ever see. I mean, will we? You think we'll ever see a 300-game winner again? The way that baseball is structured now, is 200 wins the new benchmark, you think?
With the induction of the bullpen game, quote unquote, I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing unless you're a very dominant pitcher. But even then, your dominant pitchers in today's era don't last. I mean, it's sad to look at it in the scope of this. We're talking about Max Scherzer, and we're talking about guys like Justin Verlander, who have been around the league for a long time, have garnered a lot of accolades to their name. I mean, Scherzer's the current strikeout king among active pitchers right now. He's broken down. Verlander, he's okay, but he's definitely not what he was in his heyday in Detroit. Then you get the younger guys that looked like they were going to be world beaters going into their, late 20s, early 30s in Jacob deGrom, and, another guy would be Syndergaard, who was out there with New York. They both just kind of fell off the map. And deGrom, it's because of a multitude of injuries. Syndergaard, once he got one injury, that was kind of the end of his, his heat. And I think the last guy that really kind of started that, sadly, I mean, I hate to go ahead and pile on Mets fans right now, but Matt Harvey was a guy that looked like he was going to be this generation's, Clemens, that guy that's just, he goes on the mound, everybody's watching, and guy didn't even last going out of his 30s. Starting pitchers, if you're the high heat guy, you're going to have a short shelf life. I mean, even Strasburg didn't last nearly as long. He just got done retiring.
Yeah.
So 300 wins, I don't know. 200 wins probably will be the benchmark for future quote-unquote Hall of Fame pitchers moving forward. If we get a 300 wins pitcher again, I'd be very shocked with how the game of baseball is changing.
Maybe that'll be our question of the day tomorrow. Who was the last three? I don't even know if I can even name the last 300-game winner.
My immediate thought would be, obviously, I think Clemens would be like the easy answer.
Yeah.
But I can't think of the last guy who was able to get even close to 300. I'm sure Verlander's like the closest among active guys right now. He might be sitting at like 245, but I'm not 100% sure right now who the last person on top of my head was a 300-game winner in Major League Baseball.
520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Answer that question for us. Who is the last member of the 300-win club? If you can answer that for us before I get it myself.
Okay. Wow. That's actually far more recent than I thought it was.
Okay. Wait. Let me see if I can guess. Let me see if I can guess real quick. I'm old. My memory's bad. Who is it?
It's okay. I'll give you a hint here.
Okay.
It's someone close to home here in the state of Arizona.
Oh, Randy Johnson?
Randy Johnson was the last member of the 300-win club in 2009 when he got it with the Giants.
Wow. So he won his 300th game in 2009. See, it didn't even dawn on me that he's been out of the game that long. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that he was pitching. When was his last year?
The last year for Randy, I want to say that was probably either 2009 or 2010.
Wow.
2009 was his final year.
Wow. Yeah. See, I would have thought
it was the 1 year he was out in San Francisco as the quote-unquote tutor to Lincecum.
Okay.
Who also, he didn't last nearly as long as we thought he would.
Tim Lincecum, he was too small, though. He was a small kid.
He very much the Strasburg frame of body, like very lanky, very tall. But, man, when he had his thing going, he was a danger coming from the mound with that heat.
Yeah.
The last guy before Randy did it was Glavine in 2007.
Wow.
And Glavine got that as a Met.
That was going to be my guy. I was thinking Glavine. I was like, man, has there been one since Glavine? But yeah, Randy Johnson.
Yeah, the last one that really kind of went Yes, you got to go back to 1920 to get a 400 game winner. That was Walter Johnson.
The great Walter Johnson.
Yes. The next closest to him was probably Warren Spahn in 61. He got 363. That's as close as you're getting to that number.
So who's the closest now? Do you have the active list in front of you?
Active wins list? Let's see what we got here. I want to say it's probably either Verlander or Scherzer are the current leaders that come to my head.
I got it. It's Verlander.
255.
Verlander, 255.
I think I said about 255 for Verlander there.
Yeah.
So again, Adam Wainwright, Clayton Kershaw, Scherzer, and Greinke are your only 200-game winners right now. The next one after that is Cole Hamels at 163, and sadly, I don't think Cole gets there. No way does he get there.
No.
I think he just got done getting released from the minor league club that he was trying to get back with in his return to the major league. So, yeah, besides that, Johnny Cueto's the next one that's really active, and Garrett Cole. If the Yankees don't run his arm out, I mean, maybe he's got a shot.
If they score him some runs. They just scored him a couple runs a couple Sundays ago, when I only needed one run. That'd have gotten him a win right there.
Yep.
Jesus. 520-848-1290.
Thought I mentioned that.
520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. So I want to recap our question of the day from yesterday, and that was, has it sunk in yet that this is the final season of Pac-12 football as we know it? The prevailing thought was no. It has not. 56% of you said no, it has not sunk in yet that this is the final season of Pac-12 football as we know it. So today's question is centered around Stanford. And this is the sad thing about that, David, is, I've only been here 15 years, 16 years. And just thinking like, okay, well, that's the question. The question is, is there a game against Stanford that stands out? I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one in the 15 years I've been here. There's nothing that immediately comes to mind for me about Arizona versus Stanford.
Between Arizona and Stanford on the football field,
and I'm talking football.
You have more memories on the basketball court than you do the football field. And
I'm talking football.
I think the reason for that is just like whenever you think about Arizona football and Stanford football, the two universities have been on the polar opposites of the spectrum. Whenever one has been good, one has been bad. There's never been a point where the two sides were ever both good at the exact same time. The only thing that comes to mind is maybe some games where the Cats played against Andrew Luck, but even then that was, you're talking about a team in Stanford that was competing to be in a national championship competition versus Arizona trying to be in the thick of the Pac-12 race. That kind of levels to the game between the two teams. So no, nothing in regards to football, but like I said, those two programs on the basketball court seem to have more memories there than they do on the gridiron.
Yeah, you can definitely find quite a few on the basketball side that come to mind. But yeah, in the football, it's not. And that's going to be one of the things. Again, we're going to be talking about this all season long. Memories of these teams that are on the schedule, whether it's Stanford, whether it's Washington coming up. Obviously, there's. The great one of the greatest wins in the history of the program came against Washington. That comes to mind. Beating number 1 Washington here in Tucson comes to mind. Those are some historic memories that won't be happening for this club anymore. But there's just not that one for me. And obviously, I wasn't around for either of those Washington events. But there's nothing that stands out. And I don't even know if there's anything, if I just go back from the time even before I got here, in terms of Arizona and Stanford in football, that stands out as a great game or a memory that people would have. But if you have one, let's hear from you today. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Journey Tucker is on the Arizona volleyball team. She has not played yet this year, and you'll find out why coming up in our next segment here. A tremendous story of a young lady who almost died and has come back to be able to compete at a collegiate level. This is DK on the Sports Tip. Dragon Ball is here. Cricket is here. J-Dub's got the day off. And Cricket's going to get you home with your traffic and weather every 20 minutes. She comes to you on the 5.
Chevrolet Traffic Center. This is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Some slowing at Oracle and Ina. Possible collision there northbound and westbound, slowing Ina and Oracle. Eastbound I-10 approaching the I-19 junction. Stay to the right and some backups there. Other collisions at Campbell and Irvington. Sunrise Drive near Pontotoc. Grant and Swan and Harrison south of Broadway. 6th Avenue south of I-10 was an overturned vehicle. 71 are low, partly cloudy tomorrow morning and 94 the high, sunny and 98 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Summer days getting shorter and business to-do lists getting longer? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Sponsor your first job and get hiring today by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
David Kelly has taken the reins.
Jetfish is doing everything we asked him to do.
It's DK on the Sports Tip.
Kelly Bonds set the 100 hurdles record and then broke it 2 more times.
Driving you home weekdays at 3 on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live at the Desert Diamond Casino Entertainment Center, Saturday, October 14. Get ready for Parmalee.
She feels like Carolina.
Parmalee, Saturday, October 14.
Take my name and make it yours.
Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8. Tickets starting at $20.
I'm already calling you mine.
Don't miss Parmalee, Saturday, October 14th, live at the Desert Diamond Casino Entertainment Center.
An enterprise of the Thana Autumn Nation.
Wake up, Eugene! You're gonna be late again!
Go away, Doug. You're interrupting my dream about getting new tires installed.
Right, Eugene. And last week, before you borrowed my car to get groceries, you were dreaming of an extra large bag of Cheezos.
Exactly, Doug. I can see the future. I'm practically clairvoyant.
Not sure you have that gift, but you do have an appointment for new tires at Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. So let's get going.
If you insist.
I do insist, because I'm dreaming of you driving your own car for a change.
Great choice, Eugene. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care will turn your tire dreams into reality at any of our 14 area locations.
And remember, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care's one low price includes all the tire installation services you need.
Tire mounting and balancing, new rubber valve stems, and we'll even rotate and repair your tires at no extra charge.
That's $95 in savings.
This is Sean Furrier. Since 1960, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Here to get you there.
License 240693.
All right, polar bears. New rule at Alaskan AC. If someone is broken down today, we get to them today, or the repair is free.
Absolutely. Call us today. We'll be there today.
I'm serious. Same day or it's free. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Did Ron just say sore butts? I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah.
Ron, what's Alaskan AC going to do? We'll have a repairman at your home the same day you call. If we don't, the repair will be free.
No, the other part.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Holy cow, he said it again. Sore butts, clear as a bell.
Yeah, I can't really see myself putting a technician over my knee, Ron.
Kinda weird.
Kinda? Whoa. What in the name of Klondike are you talking about?
Sore butts.
I said no ifs, ands, or buts.
2020 Sports.
Going through the list of nominees for this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame, the class of modern era players is quite a handful. The list includes 173 names. A number of former Cardinals didn't make it onto that list, including Carlos Dansby, who was a linebacker, fullback Larry Centers, and the big name Cardinals fans will remember is wideout Anquan Bolden. He'll be up for a possible induction in this year's Hall of Fame class. Congratulations goes out to all 173 names that were placed on that list. Well, the late hit on Colorado Star two-way player Travis Hunter earned some ire for CSU safety Henry Blackburn, as a multitude of death threats apparently went his way after knocking out Hunter in the Colorado State contest this last weekend. Buffalo's coach Deion Sanders was quick to condemn anyone who would send death threats to the young man and praised Blackburn for the play that he had in the game.
Henry Blackburn is a good player who played a phenomenal game. He made a tremendous hit on Travis on the sideline. You could call it dirty, you could call it he was just playing the game of football. But whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats. This is still a young man trying to make it in life, a guy that's trying to live his dream and hopefully graduate with honors or degree, committed to excellence and go to the NFL. He does not deserve a death threat over a game. At the end of the day, this is a game. Someone must win, someone must lose. Everybody continues their life the next day. Very unfortunate. I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. I would hope and pray not, but that kid was just playing the best of his ability and he made a mistake. So I forgive him. CU, our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on. But that kid does not deserve that.
Colorado will be turning their attention to Oregon this Saturday, but they will not have Hunter, as his last letter to deliver will at least keep him out this week against the Ducks. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. Studio at Wildcats Radio 1290 is the email if you want to send us a message via email. I had a chance last week to chat with Journey Tucker. She's a freshman middle blocker on the U of A volleyball team. And in early 2002, it was discovered that she had a brain tumor. She had surgery to remove that brain tumor. It is a brain tumor that ironically also struck her sister a number of years ago. Her sister unfortunately died as a result of that brain tumor when her sister was 14 years old. I believe Journey at the time was around 8 or 6 years old. 8 years old. And so she's overcome that, got a scholarship from the University of Arizona, is here on campus competing as a backup with the U of A volleyball team. And she was asked how she's from Buckeye, Arizona, and she was asked how she found the sport of volleyball.
I was about to sign up for badminton because badminton's a pretty cool sport. And then the coaches of the volleyball, they were right next to the table. And then they asked me how tall I was. And freshman year, I was about 6'1", 6'1.5". And then they were like, you need to sign up right now. So ever since then, I just kind of progressed from playing high school, and then I was introduced into club volleyball. So that's basically the story of me joining volleyball.
And then it was interrupted when you got sick, right?
Yes.
What was that whole, I mean, I know your sister had the same issue, right?
Yes.
How did you learn about that and what happened? And I mean, what was that whole feeling knowing, what had happened to your sister?
When it happened to my sister, I was about 9. I still didn't fully grasp it. I just knew that the tumor had grown too big, and unfortunately she had a brain aneurysm. And then when I found out that I had my tumor, that was around the same time I found out that I had the same tumor as my sister. We both had pilocytic astrocytoma, which is majorly found in adolescents. So when I found that out, it just kind of made me feel, it did kind of shock me, but it also scared me. And then also when I was able to get the treatment that I was able to get, it kind of made me feel like kind of survivor's guilt because I was able to get the treatment and the care that my sister wasn't really able to get. But at the end of the day, I'm very blessed to still be here and to still be able to play the sport that I love.
Was it hereditary in terms of anyone else in the family?
I did do genetic testing, but they didn't see any correlation to that.
So just incredibly bad luck.
Yeah, yes, definitely incredibly. Just my mom thinks it was either like an environmental wise because since it was not hereditary, my mom believes that it had other factors to it.
I mean, how has your family dealt with it, and how have they kind of helped you rise above it?
They've definitely helped me a lot. It was definitely hard on my mom because I am her second child that has gone through a tumor. And it was hard because we were still in the midst of a pandemic and she is a healthcare worker. So it was hard juggling me being at home and not being at school because I was unable to be at school, to pay attention at school and to be physically there, present. So it was hard for her to juggle having a job but also being there. So my family and even friends really helped and stepped up. They would come over and monitor me because I couldn't really move around. I couldn't really be active even in my own home. They helped my mom just supervise me, and then I would also go to their houses so they could supervise me as well. They would bring meals and other things of that nature to help me and my mom out. So I think even though it was detrimental on my mom, I think since we had such a large support group, it also helped me and my mom kind of just move forward to it and to be able to survive through it.
What are some of the things that you do both on and off the court to honor your sister?
Well, I remember for my senior night when we were honoring the seniors for my sister, it was my other sister, I have two sisters. It was me, my sister, and my mom. We brought up a portrait of my sister. It was a picture of her so she could be there during my senior night. And off the court, we always have those discussions about my sister, and we also go to her. We have like memorials and things of that nature. I think even though we're coming up about 7-8 years, it's still very significant. She still has a presence in my family's life, so I think it's very important to still remember her in every little way that I can.
How was volleyball, the community specifically, able to help you?
They helped me a lot, actually. It was teams. I remember when my story came out, it was very prominent in the state. I remember when it all came out, I had people reaching out from so many different places. I remember there was a volleyball club that reached out to me, made me a card and things of like that nature. My school district, my whole school district, their volleyball teams and things like that helped me out, and they gave me like a basket of things like blankets and things of that nature. And I remember I went to a tournament that I couldn't play in because of my tumor, but to still be there for my team, even if it was for just like 1 or 2 sets. And I remember the opposing team that we were playing, they actually came up to me and gave me a card and blanket. So I think it was just such a blessing to have teams and clubs and players just reach out to me for like prayers or support. I think it definitely not only motivated me to keep going, but to get back into volleyball.
Where are you now in terms of your tumor?
Healthy. I do yearly MRI scans. They've progressed from monthly to yearly because every single one has came back clean. So it's just as now just keeping myself healthy and keeping my mind healthy and to just be safe.
When you were able to come to a Pac-12 school, I mean, how did it feel knowing you had progressed to that point that you could do that?
It feels great, definitely. I was a little nervous because I had my tumor during my junior year, and more specifically, when girls are playing at that collegiate level, you know, they already have their commitment by then. And when it was rolling up my senior year and I still hadn't commit, I was a little bit nervous. I was still it was in my mind, like, am I even going to be able to play at a collegiate level? But to have Rubio and Rita reach out to me in such a difficult time and offer me to be able to play here, it felt like a weight lifted off of my shoulders, definitely. And to not only play at a Division I, but also a Pac-12, which is a very great conference for volleyball, it feels amazing.
And where are you from again, sorry?
I'm from Buckeye, Arizona, which is about 2 hours out from here.
Okay. So what other schools potentially were you looking at?
I was looking at UC Santa Barbara, New Mexico State, and I was also talking to Temple as well and a few other schools that were relatively out of state.
Being able to stay close, was that important?
I actually wanted to go out of state before everything happened. I was like, I want to experience something new, but after everything that happened, I think for myself and for my family, I was talking to my mom and I was like, I would rather stay relatively close to home, whether it was about maybe a few hours drive or things of that nature. I would like to stay relatively close to home, and to have the opportunity to play in my home state was great. And I remember the day that she offered me, I took it. So.
And when my mind is just blank what I was going to ask you.
Are there any other game mementos or anything like that you do on game day that honors?
No, not as of right now. I think it's just really prayers and things like that, because she didn't really play a sport, so I can't really like write a number, things like that. So it's just kind of prayer to her, just like a remembrance, I would say.
I remember what I was going to ask you. Rita says that what she sees in you is you have the physical ability, but maybe your confidence, like you think other people have more experience. How are you working through that?
I believe I'm working through that by listening to my coaches and understanding that there is a reason why I'm here, and to understand that I have the ability to do it, even though there are girls that are more experienced than me and have started way younger than I have, to understand that this is a learning environment and a learning situation. So it's only really up from where I am currently right now.
And you want to go in the medical field, right?
Yes, either like biotech or pharmacies, yes.
And going off of that, how has it been balancing school and being a student athlete at the same time?
It definitely has been challenging, but with the resources that the campus has given us, like the CATS Academic Center, and being able to go to a learning specialist every day or go to tutoring every day, it definitely does help a little with the workload, because they are there to help you, and if you have questions, like, they're there for you. So I would definitely say it's been easier. The transition has been easier than I expected, mainly because of the resources that they offer here.
Journey Tucker. Great story there for Arizona's volleyball, and she actually did get into her first game this past weekend in the win over Alabama State. That was on Saturday. She played in all 3 sets of that sweep, had 4 kills on 5 total attempts, so an 800 hitting percentage out of the middle blocker position. She also had 3 block assists in the game, 5.5 points. So a good start to her college career last Saturday in the win over Alabama State. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the Fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Ina and Oracle backups for westbound and northbound traffic at Ina and Oracle due to a collision. Other wrecks reported Ina west of I-10. Second wreck, Ina and Silver Bell, opposite side of town, Nogales Highway and Aerospace Parkway. And an overturned vehicle occurred on 6th Avenue south of I-10. 71 the low, partly cloudy. Tomorrow morning, 94 our high tomorrow, 98 and sunny now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. You do anything to keep your vehicle happy. Let's make sure.
has rejected the financial settlement that was negotiated between Arizona Wildcat quarterback Jaden DeLaura, his former high school teammate Kamoa Latu, and the woman who alleged that the two of them sexually assaulted her in 2018. The judge in the case suggested the woman not accept the amount she viewed as too low from the players as they have begun earning funds through NIL and now has scheduled a January mediation hearing on the case. DeLaura said that he would not speak on the case back during the Pac-12 Media Days, hoping to clear his name if he could when asked about the situation. While the Steelers came away with a win on Monday night, all attention was paid to their attention and the Browns and their star running back Nick Chubb, who had left the game with a gruesome knee injury in the second quarter and was said to have a season-ending injury. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski and star defensive end Myles Garrett spoke on Chubb's injury after the game.
And we'll see Nick here shortly. We'll see him. Obviously not here right now, but what would Nick say in these situations? You know, Nick is he's a team leader. He's not one to back down from anything. He's not one to feel woe is me in any way. So he's going to make sure that this team continues to fight.
It hurts. I mean, it's our brother. It's my brother, and I've been together for a long time. And I mean, it's a blow for the whole team, and we don't want his injury to be in vain. And we got to push on. You know, that's what he wants us to do. And if he had any choice in the matter, that's what he would do. So just got to continue to fight and use it as motivation.
Chubb had suffered an equally grueling injury to his knee in college back when he was playing at Georgia. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
And now, back to more DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is our phone number. That is also your phone number to get in on the program. We were talking earlier in this hour about Arizona and Stanford. Our question of the day is, do you have any memories? What is your top memory of this football series between these two? That'll be the 32nd time that they've met on the football field. Arizona trails the series 14-17. You heard Brian Jeffries in our last hour mention that the last time that U of A beat Stanford, they've lost 6 in a row, was the year 2006. Have to go all the way back to the year 2006. Arizona won 20-7 at Stanford. I believe this was before Stanford got good, because you know what their record was? This was the 7th game of that season. David, do you know what Stanford's record was after that game?
Were they undefeated that year?
They were 0-7.
Ooh.
They were 0-7 after losing that game to the Arizona Wildcats in 2006. Can you name the starting quarterback that day?
Oh, for that day.
Yeah. I don't even know if I've heard of this name before.
Oh boy, that's not a promising start. I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick.
I'll give you a hint. It wasn't
Rich Rodriguez's kid, was it?
No. This is 2006.
Okay.
This is 2006. The Rich Rods did not get here until 2012.
Okay.
It was 5 weeks after Willie Tuitama got knocked out of the game in Baton Rouge against LSU.
Oh, in that case, I have no idea. There's no hope for me on this.
No. Adam Austin was the starting quarterback in that game. Adam Austin.
That is a creative character on Madden, if I'm not mistaken.
Your two quarterbacks that day were Adam Austin. Now, this name I have heard because I covered him. He coached at Santa Rita, and Chris Heavner. Adam Austin and Chris Heavner were the two Wildcat quarterbacks that day in Palo Alto, the last time that U of A beat the Cardinal on the football field.
Well,
I'm sorry, the last time they won on the road.
In Palo Alto.
Palo Alto, yes. The last time they won was 2009, and that was here in Tucson. That I'm sure when you look at the score, and I would have been at that game, 43, that would have been my second season here. 43-38, that was a Nick Foles-led game.
Mm-hmm. A very wild finish to that one. And not only was Nick Foles on that field, DK, but it was a star-studded cast for Stanford. You had Toby Gearhart and Andrew Luck on the field at the same time, which a lot of people forget that was not a very big gap between the two when Gearhart was I don't know if I want to call him, quote-unquote, the the outlier in the West Coast voting for the Heisman the one year where he was a major name in college football. But, I mean, there was not a lot of gap between him and Andrew Luck for the two of them to be on the field at the same exact time in a shootout between the Cardinal and the Wildcats in that night in 2009.
Arizona was behind, and they scored 14 points in the fourth quarter to come from behind and win that game. Nick Grigsby had a 57-yard touchdown run that night. Jerron Kreiner and Terrell Turner, TT, my guy, both caught passes for over 100 yards. Kreiner had 12 catches for 152 yards. David Douglas had 2 touchdown catches in that game. These are all my original guys. Nick Foles, how about this line? 40 of 51, 415 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game.
There's a reason that man is the one 10,000-yard passer in Arizona history.
Andrew Luck, 21 of 35, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. You know who had that 1 interception? I'll give you a hint. He wore that jersey that you're wearing right now.
Oh, boy.
Maybe not that number, but he wore that jersey.
Oh, Robert Golden.
Robert Golden.
My man, Robert Golden.
Robert Golden. And not only was it an interception, but it was a pick six.
Oh, there you go.
In that game. A 79-yard pick six. We had to find the highlights of that game. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go do some digging.
I'm looking around here. I can't find much of anything between Stanford and Arizona. It's like we said earlier. It's hard to come away with any major memories of this rivalry between these two schools. And I maybe mentioned it to you. Is like maybe it's just because Stanford's a bunch of nerds. There's no good memory. There's no exciting there. There's nothing exciting there.
He just used the nerd word.
I mean, hey, as a geek myself, I feel like I have a pass to say nerd.
This was 2006. This was back in the day when you could actually return kicks. Travis Cobb had four returns in that game for 102 yards.
In that 2006 win over in Palo Alto?
You could actually return kicks at that time. Now, this was the game in Tucson. Now, this was the 09 game.
Oh, okay.
This was the 09 game. You can't return kicks anymore because,
everybody goes ahead and gets it out of
Tyler Lip just boots it out of the end zone.
And all you got to do is have it hit behind you 5 yards and the end zone, and then it's a touchback now.
Now, let's go back again to that 2006 game. The kicker on that team, Nick Folk. Did not kick any field goals that day, though. Did not really need to. Made all of his extra. Well, let's see. I don't have a scoring. They scored 20, so he wait a minute. No, he did. He kicked 2 field goals because they had 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. This one box score does not note the field goals. So he had 2 field goals in that game.
There you go.
He kicked a pretty big field goal on Sunday.
Morgan Cox to snap. Ryan Stonehouse to hold. And the kick. Good! Yes! Yes! The redemption of Ryan Tannehill on a Sunday that started sunny, ended with rain, and saw the Titans beat an arch nemesis from over 60 years ago by hanging in offensively, defensively, and finding a way.
Nick Folk with his 13th game-winning field goal that came on Sunday for his latest team, the Tennessee Titans, as they got a win over, as you heard Mike Key say, their longtime rival, the Chargers, and that we had that discussion in the first hour. All right, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Eric, you're on Wildcats Radio 1290, DK on the Sports Tip.
Yes. I have 2 memories of Arizona versus Stanford. In 1993, when Bill Walsh came into town, and Arizona they were down, and they came back and won, but they kicked a game-winning field goal.
27-24 was the final in that game.
The other one is when 1999, Stanford went. That's when they went to the Rose Bowl that year. Arizona they got beat 50-22.
Yeah.
That's when they also had Troy Walters too.
Do you remember who the kicker was that kicked that game-winning field goal, Eric? Do you remember?
I think it was McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. That's probably pretty close. We'll have to find out who that was. But I would not say that was a wrong answer because Steve McLaughlin was a pretty impressive kicker for Arizona during the early 90s. It was indeed Steve McLaughlin. A 27-yard field goal as time expired. The Wildcats were ranked number 11 on that day, October the 17th, 1993. They won 27-24 in Tucson. You were right, Eric. You know your history. I love it. Thanks for calling, Eric. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Let's hear real quickly from Nick Folk on his game-winning field goal Sunday for the Tennessee Titans.
You kind of try to treat it every kick is the same. That's how I've kind of try to do it. So, we had a day going, good punt, 3 extra points, field goal already. So it was, we felt like we were in a pretty good rhythm. So just go out there and put it through.
That mindset, that rhythm, how much has your experience in this league played a factor in that?
Obviously playing for 16 years is there's a lot you can lean on and learn from. So I think you can take every kick I've learned something from, good or bad. So I just try to take the good and move on and learn from the bad.
Being able to get that game-winning kick, that feeling afterwards, how do you describe that?
No, it's always good to get a win. It wasn't just me. I just say I get to put the cherry on top.
You say a cherry on top, but last week, 15 points from you. Again, the game-winning field goal today. Is this as good as a start with this team as you could hope for?
Yeah, anytime you can kind of help the team stay in games and win games is it's a good start, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Nick Folk, game-winning kick number 13 on his career, and I'm sure there may be many more. Had the Titans really lost 8 games in a row before they won that game on Sunday? Something like I thought I saw that.
I don't know. I probably did because they ended
had
last
a really
season
bad end of the year last year.
because it was Josh Dobbs, Arizona Cardinals current starter, that lost I think 2 games in a row as the emergency starter after Tannehill got injured. So 8 losses in a row does not sound far off.
I thought they were like in the mix for the playoffs last year.
If they
but
had
maybe
won the
not.
AFC South, because the Jaguars game would have decided the AFC South division crown, so they could have still technically made the postseason had they not lost to the Jaguars.
That was one of those divisions, huh?
Yeah, everybody's kind of like last 2 weeks, and it's going to come down to the head-to-head. And
oh my God! Yeah, they were 7-3,
and then just had the tailspin,
and then lost their last 7 games in a row. And finished 7-10.
Yep.
Wow.
And that led the way to the Jaguars to rip the hearts out of Charger fans everywhere in that playoff game.
And then they lost their opener this year. Oh, yeah, that was – I remember that game. Like, nobody gave the Jaguars a chance to win that game.
After you throw 4 interceptions in the first half, no one should give you a chance to win that game.
Maybe that's what Jaden Delora was leaning on when he threw 3 interceptions in the first half, or the first quarter.
Oh, yeah,
no. Mississippi State.
You could go ahead and bounce back from that nowadays.
All right, we're going to break down the Wildcats and the UTEP Miners coming up in the next hour with Glenn Howell. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You are listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Ina and Oracle backups for westbound and northbound traffic at Ina and Oracle due to a collision. Other wrecks reported Ina west of I-10. Second wreck, Ina and Silver Bell, opposite side of town, Nogales Highway and Aerospace Parkway. And an overturned vehicle occurred on 6th Avenue south of I-10. 71 the low, partly cloudy tomorrow morning. 94 our high tomorrow. 98 and sunny now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Big O Tires. The Big Deal event is here. From now until October 1st, get $50 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Nexen or National tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation charges extra required on all 4 tires. Not valid with other offers. Eligibility may vary. See store for details.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. That was a brutal night of football last night. Everything about it, brutal. Brutally violent, brutally slow, brutally bad offensively, brutally mid-quarterbacking, and unfortunately, one of the most brutal injuries you will ever see to a tremendous player. Virtually everything you saw last night was unwatchable. Unfortunately, we can't unsee what we saw, including that injury to Nick Chubb. It was horrific to watch him go down like that. Those of you who saw it know how horrifying it was, and those of you who did not see it, consider yourselves lucky. You can take my word for it.
after alleging that the leaders of the union, including President J.C. Treader, have been advising running backs to, quote, consider feigning or exaggerating injuries to increase their leverage in contract talks. Again, the grievance was filed last week during opening day, and the league has argued that players who took the advice would be violating the league's collective bargaining agreement. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
There are just 11 games to go for the Arizona Diamondbacks in this Major League Baseball season. 11 regular season contests remain to try to secure a playoff position and be able to say, we're going to have an October to remember. Let's update you on your Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, 11 games to go. The Diamondbacks played 17 games in a row. They went 10-7 over that stretch. They won the last 3, which was a sweep over the Chicago Cubs. And right now they are sitting in the playoffs. They are the number 2 team in the National League wild card. Now, they lost a half a game because the Phillies won last night. The Phillies played last night. The Diamondbacks were off. So they are now 3.5 games behind Philadelphia for space number 1 in the National League wild card. The Diamondbacks hold the second spot at 79-72. They are 7 games above 500. They are a half game in front of the Chicago Cubs and a half game in front of the Cincinnati Reds, who are in a virtual tie for the third and final wild card position. The Marlins, a half game behind. The Giants, 2 games behind. The Padres, 5.5 games behind. The Cubs are in a free fall. They've lost 5 in a row. The Padres, trying to save themselves at the end, have won 5 in a row. The Diamondbacks riding a 3-game winning streak. The only 2 teams in the National League who are eliminated at this moment are the Washington Nationals and the Colorado Rockies, who are sitting at 94 losses. But that's not even the worst in Major League Baseball. The Royals and the Athletics, who both used to be called the Athletics, have both lost over 100 games this season.
Whew.
And won less than 50.
Oh, the Royals have a chance, though. They can get to 50 tonight.
They surely could. They surely could. And at least the A's have Las Vegas to look forward to, right?
Depending on who you ask that question to, that's looking forward or dreading.
So here's what we've got left. It's a 2-game. This is actually there's 2 more games left on this homestand. The first game will be played tonight at 6:40 against the San Francisco Giants. Then it's a day game, matinee tomorrow, and a getaway day, 12:40, and then it's back to the East Coast. So the Diamondbacks will have to go to New York. They'll have 3 games against the Yankees this coming weekend. Actually, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in New York against the Yankees. Then they will go to the White Sox and play 3 games there, and then they'll come home and finish the regular season with 3 games against the Houston Astros, who, if I'm not mistaken, are current leaders in the American League or the National League. No, I'm sorry, the American League
West.
Central.
West.
Or is it the West?
Yeah,
yes, the West.
They're the West now.
Yes,
they got the Twins, your Cleveland Guardians, Detroit, Chicago, and Kansas City.
Yeah, we're
all
the
in the
Central.
Central.
I should know that. My team's in the Central. Yeah, so the the American League wild card right now is Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Texas are the three teams there. That American League West is the best race out there right now. The Astros have a 1.5 game lead over both the Rangers and the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight it'll be for the Diamondbacks, Zach Gallen, the All-Star, possible Cy Young Award winner. At 15-8, he'll get the start against Alex Cobb. Cobb is 7-6 for the Giants. Didn't he used to pitch for the Rays? Alex Cobb.
I remember him.
I think he was
pitching.
a Ray.
Yeah,
at one
he was
point.
pitching for the Rays up until 2017, and then he was an Oriole after that.
Your Desert Diamond Casino Sportsbook line on this game, the money line, or the run line is, the money line, I should say, is minus 140 in favor of the Diamondbacks, so they are the favorite tonight. Your over-under is 8.5. Now, the good thing, David, a couple weeks ago when they were home, we were talking about the attendance and how concerning that looked when it was the Rockies. And we thought that it would get a bump with the Cubs, which it did. When the Rockies were here, they had home games of 18,000, 13,000, and 11,000. For the Cubs series, it was 33, 35, and 26. Only 26 people came out I thought more would come out for a Sunday night baseball game,
Now,
nationally televised. But
when you say that, it's 2,600 or 26,000? Okay, so it's not just 26 people in the stand.
26,000. So 33,000, 35,000, 26,000.
Okay.
For the Cubs series.
Well, that's not bad considering where they were prior to that. But the other part of it, we're looking at the numbers for the crowd. I know the Diamondbacks are hoping for maybe a better swing in their favor when it comes to their luck against the Giants. The second half of the season is not what they needed against the Giants in their first series. They won the first game and then lost 3 in a row in San Francisco. They actually had a pretty decent first half of the season against San Francisco when it came to their win-loss records. But now they desperately need these 2 games to go ahead and not only stay in position for the wild card, but win the series against the Giants, because the Giants have a 6-5 lead overall in the series so far.
Well, and you've got a chance to bury the Giants. I mean, the Giants have been struggling a little bit of late, and you have a chance now to bury them big time. I mean, it's again, and it's really weird, this whole thing. I mean, they got on a 6-game losing streak, then they won 5 of 6. Now they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Have the Giants to fall to 76 and 74. So you got a chance to bury the Giants, and I think you've got to go ahead and do that this week. And then the Giants have to play Los Angeles. The other thing for the Giants is they got to play L.A. 6 more times. Now, L.A.'s already clinched, so they might not be.
Worst part is that's actually 7 times they play the Dodgers. That's the scary part. In regards to the wild card race, this is the Giants' best chance because you're 2 games behind the Diamondbacks right now, all intents and purposes. You need to win these 2 games, and if you can, just try to survive until you get to the Padres series. Maybe split that extended series against the Dodgers in L.A., win the series against the Padres, and then see what you can do against the Dodgers to finish the series against a team that's probably going to be resting a lot of their key starters for the postseason in that final weekend of the year.
6:40, first pitch tonight at Chase Field, Arizona and San Francisco, the first of the final 11 games of this season. The Diamondbacks trying to make the postseason for the first time since 2017. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on this program. We still have an hour left, a little less than an hour to go with you. Glenn Howe is going to join us for our Wildcat Breakdown segments. We will talk to him and get an analysis of Arizona's 31-10 win over the UTEP Miners. Also, tonight in Tucson, we've got up on West Anklam Road, Pima College Soccer is in action tonight. Both the men and the women, in fact, are set to get underway at the bottom of the hour against Gateway, and then the men will follow them after that. So a chance to get up there on the mountain or on the hill and see some Pima College Soccer tonight. All right, Cricket rejoins us again. Cricket, we were talking about how to talk like a pirate. So Okay, I think we're gonna learn some lessons here. Okay. All right, let's cue this up here. Wait, no. Pilot error here again. So just to remind everybody, I'm the host and the director of this show. So we have to.
By the way, I also remember what I was trying to think of the word for earlier. It was haberdashery.
Haberdashery.
Oh, I love that word.
That
is
was the
a
word.
Great word. Fine, like this sweater here, I think is fine haberdashery that I'm wearing.
It's very fine.
Fine haberdashery. All right, let's try that again. Have you got me up over here, Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
My volume?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, let's try this again.
Too long! Pieces of 8. Tortuga. Blimey. Davy Jones' locker.
Pie.
That's the one. Aye. Mostly we figure that means yes. Scallywag. Fishwife. Curse you for breathing, you snot-jawed idiot! You bloomin' cockroaches! You filthy, besotted shellback. Perfidious rotter. It's a pirate's life for me. Savvy.
Scallywag. That's the other one I love. Scallywag.
Is that like a hoodlum?
Oh, absolutely. That's a hoodlum.
A hoodlum, yeah.
I love that music. I always was a really big fan. I never really got into those Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but I love the music from them. They used to play that music as the intro when I lived in Memphis. Before the Grizzlies, they play the video before the game, before they do the intros, and they would always play the Pirates of Caribbean music. And I always thought, man, that's a great track right there. Whoever came up with that,
It's exciting.
Yeah, it builds you up to a big adventure or some mystery or a great fight that's about to brew. I mean, it's really one of those classic background music for, I would argue, probably one of the better movie series that we've had in the turn of the century.
It's got a great score.
It's like, so I'm going to give you my best now. Here we go.
Okay.
You scallywag, go get me some doubloons for my haberdashery.
I say bravo.
I don't know so much about the pirate having a haberdashery, but I commend you for throwing in the word.
Tried.
They
I tried.
They have to shop there,
and,
right?
And Cricket's got her shirt on. I'm only talking to my dog. Are you talking to your dog in pirate lingo today?
Maybe.
Would he understand? Would he understand that?
I just tell him to make good choices. Arg. While I'm gone, make good choices.
Make
Arg.
good choices. Oh God. Is he allowed to be inside while you're gone, or do you have to keep him outside while you're gone?
He is inside while I'm gone, and maybe like half the time. Sometimes he stays with my mom, and he loves his crate. So, but I think he could destroy a queen size mattress in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
I don't want to find out. I mean, maybe not. He's older now. He's mature. He's like 50 years old now, so I'm sure he would be totally fine. But he loves his crate, so
there you go.
All right then.
There you go.
All right, bro. Yeah.
Talk like a pirate day.
Arg.
If you want to call up and talk like a pirate on this program, feel free. 520-848-1290. But till then, Cricket's going to make sure you get home safely with your traffic.
And sorry, not talking like a pirate. From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collisions Tangerine east of La Cañada, First Avenue and Limberlost. Golf links in Wilmot, also clearing Nogales Highway and Aerospace Parkway. Overnight tonight, road work along Orange Grove, east and west of La Cañada. You might experience flaggers and deputies on scene overnight tonight for road work. 71 our low, partly cloudy tomorrow morning, and 94 the high for tomorrow, sunny and 95 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You could live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. Hey, it's David Kelly. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports, folks, they're astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC's treatments. If you've got constant pain in your knees, hip, maybe shoulder or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Imagine this fall moving around pain-free with your grandkids. Call QC Kinetics, see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack your pain and bring you lasting relief. Now's the best time to get started. 2 locations, one off of Academy, the other off of Orange Grove. Call QC Kinetics now, 520-497-4955. That's 520-497-4955. QC Kinetics, 520-497-4955.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
The Arizona softball team continues to get more talent, and this time it's coming from the state of Texas as they get another recruit from the Lone Star State. Top 5 player out of the Houston area, utility player Addison Shepard, has now officially committed to the Wildcats. 2025 class is starting to shape up for Caitlin Lowe's squad, as now both Shepard and right-handed pitcher Riley Holder are in that class after her recent commitment on Sunday night. The final season for Adam Wainwright is coming to an end as the stalwart in the Cardinals rotation continues to add to his legacy, finally eclipsing the win mark that had been eluding him for almost 3 months.
He got it. Fly ball center. Waino is throw 7. Popped him up. Out. Adam Wainwright, welcome to the 200-win club.
Wainwright has officially become the latest member of the 200 Wins Club as he stymied the Brewers in a classic one-run victory over the Milwaukee team, where he put in 7 shutout innings of work coming from the 42-year-old's arm. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late?
No, my boy, you're just in time. Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Down Arizona Wildcats football, joined once again by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. Arizona coming off a 31-10 win over UTEP as they begin to prepare for the beginning of Pac-12 conference play this Saturday against the Stanford Cardinal. And Glenn, let's dive into this game from this past Saturday. And I think one of the interesting things that stood out to me, and we knew going in, and just as you kind of take this preseason as a whole, one of the things that Arizona had to do was stop turning over the football. And I don't want to say they put the clamps necessarily on Jaden Delore in that game against UTEP, but I think that Jed Fish did a very nice job of adjusting his offense to kind of bring back the edge pass to not only, one, get Jacob Cowling involved in this offense, which he really had not been the first 2 games, but also just to give Jaden Delore some easier passing options to get comfortable with that game last Saturday.
He absolutely did. He made some good calls on just getting the ball out of his hands quickly and not have to really think about it. You know, a lot of some bubble passes, some quick passes that he made some attempts. Didn't have to think a lot on those plays, and that's how you got to warm him up, I think, to get Delore going, is to warm him up, get him tuned to the game situation, what's going to go on. And they also ran the ball to calm him down a little bit, which I really liked that they ran the ball. And I've been saying that all year. And running the ball is a quarterback's best friend.
Oh, there's no question about that. There's no question about that. And we saw obviously Michael Wiley get a good number of those carries, and I just thought it was interesting, just kind of the way that they've done it. I mean, obviously Michael is the main guy, but when he brings in the other guys, he gives them the ball almost consecutively. We saw it with Rayshawn Luke get 2 back-to-back carries. We saw it with DJ Williams. And when he came in, he got 2 back-to-back carries.